Hello, hello, hello. It is Melissa, the eccentric crafter, and let me just tell you, this is a little eccentric because I made a couple videos and then I disappeared, and now I'm back making a completely different type of video. My husband says that when the seasons change, my crafty interests change. So now I'm on jewelry. So I am going to show you how to make this beautiful wire wrapped dangly earring set today. And the reason I wanted to start with this is because I struggled for a really long time learning how to do wrapped wire loops. And that's the piece right here that is where you take the wire after you make your loop and you go back up around it and wrap it a couple of times. And I've always wanted to do this because it makes it so much stronger when you make connections than just a regular loop. And all of a sudden this time around it just came to me and I just got it, and I wanted to show you with this lovely sparkly bit how I do it. So to make these earrings, I have these really funky, they remind me of oil slicks, oblong like rugby ball beads. They're glass and they just are so unique. They're not exactly a football shape and they're not exactly a circle or an oval. They're just these funky, wonky little shapes. I also have just a plain freshwater pearl dyed in like a smoky gray color. And finally, a top drilled down through gray smoky crystal drop. The wire that I'm using head pins today instead of just plain wire, and the head pins I have are, well, there's a head pin, which is this one here that has the little ball on the end, and there is this eye pin which has the hook on the end already, or the little loop on the end. And let me see just real quick. The eye pin is 2 inches and the head pin is an inch and about 1.25 inches. And they're really thin. They're about maybe 26 gauge. The pearl has a really small hole, so you want something really thin to go through that. And without further ado, to go ahead, I'll leave this here so you can see what we're doing. So on the eye pin first, it's this one here, we are going to put our funky rugby oil slick bead. Ding-da-ling, da-ling, da-ling. Then we are going to put our gray bead. Okay. The next part, I have these chain nose pliers. I have a pair of really fine round nose pliers. This, which has become completely indispensable, which are these loop wires. Now you can do the wrapping and the loop making with plain round nose pliers, but this makes it the exact same size every time. So I love these, and they were not that expensive. They were about $20, I think, maybe even less. And finally, a pair of flesh or flush cut. I don't know if these are for cutting flesh. I'm guessing it probably means flesh. It probably isn't for cutting flesh. Okay. So to do this loop, what you do is you pull your beads down so they're resting against the eye and not sort of floating around up here. And then you take, and you sort of hold it with your finger and your thumb so that they stay in place. Then, using your chain nose pliers and leaving, well, I'm not good with guesstimating. Let me see. Maybe 1/8 of an inch above that, above your pearl bead. You have about 1/8 of an inch, because that's where your wire wrap's actually going to happen. And bend it away from you at a 45-degree angle. See, so this area right here is where you're going to be wrapping your loops around. Okay, now taking these wire looping pliers, and there's, see, maybe if I put it up like this, you could see there's a really skinny loop and a wider loop. So I put the skinny loop, which is the one I'm going to make the size of, on top of the wire. And the fatter one goes down here. Now holding it in my dominant hand, I just take and I pull tightly this wire over the top like this until it comes down the other side. But I can't keep going because this lower little circle piece is in the way. So what I have to do is take it out. Nothing magical is going to happen. I just swung it around. So instead of being at the bottom, I just swung it around so that I will be able to take this wire and finish wrapping it around my loop. So now when I have it, it's perfectly, whoops, sorry, wrapped around that plier. And take it right out, and you can see you have this I cannot do things backwards. I'm telling you. You have this perfect little circle loop here and a tail. See its tail? Okay, so then what you do is you take your chain nose pliers again and really tightly grasping so the tail is coming over the top of the wire. Don't worry about that dag-nabbit pearl. Over the top, you grasp it really tightly here. And this is where I used to get it wrong, because I wouldn't hold it tight enough and these beads would jump into my way and it would just make me crazy. So now, holding it very perpendicular to the bottom of that loop, you just start pushing it around. And use your thumb and getting those coils right next to the last coil. So you're just going right around. And as many as you can do, or as many as you want to do. On this teeny tiny little earring, I'm getting about a 4 coil piece here. Doesn't want to show you. There you go. And then you have that little bit of a tail hanging off in your loop. Now I'm going to go ahead with these flesh cutters and come in as close as I possibly can, making sure the stuff that I want to throw away that's going to clip off is in the V. See how there's a bit of a V in there versus the flat side? So put the junk in this V. And as close as you can get without clipping your actual wire, clip it off. Now when you look at this, you can see there's a little bit of funkiness to the loop. It's not a perfectly perfect loop. Super easy, especially with these pliers to fix. Just stick that right back in there, into it, and twist it till it's in the appropriate position. And it will get the right size. And now you have a happy, lovely little loop. Now onto that loop, we're gonna put our, let me get my tools out of the way, our happy little dingle dangle crystal. Now I'm putting the, uh-oh, this crystal doesn't have its perfect hole through it. Let me grab another crystal. I don't have a bead reamer which would poke out the middle, so we'll just get a new one. Now putting this is the head pin. So putting the heavy side at the bottom. So the skinny part of the bead is at the top. This is going to be our dangle. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing, except this is such a tiny bit of wire that we're not really going to be able to use those perfect loop making pliers. We're going to have to use these small tips, small little bit to make the loop, which is fine. Now we're going to go ahead in and we're going to again hold it with our thumb and our forefinger, making sure it's at the very bottom, and then pinch up here and about a little less than 1/8 of an inch this time. We're going to bend it that perfect square angle. We're going to take our tips, we're going to put them in about 1/4 of an 1/8 of an inch up, and do the same thing where we just bend right over the top of the pliers, swing the pliers around, and finish making the loop. At this point you can also look at it from the top like this and see, does it need to be wiggled a little bit to the side? Does it need to be and this one is pretty good. But at this point, we're going to attach it to this dangle, or to the original piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to the very bottom, the single loop that came with the head pin, not the side that we wrapped. This single loop here. So you just stick it through and you kind of pull so that you get that loop into that other little loop. Okay? Now, you could use your chain nose pliers, but they're just not quite narrow enough for my liking. So I'm actually going to just use these round nose pliers because they have such a teeny tiny end. And I'm going to hold this just like we did the last time. I'm going to hold this and I am going to start wrapping. And keeping it parallel to the pliers so we're getting a real neat wrap. And don't worry, the stone is going to jump around and it's fine. Nobody will know the difference. So we have this wrapped. The little drop is wrapped. And take your chain nose pliers at this point if you want to, and try to squish down the end of it a little bit. Be careful because if you're using a crystal or a stone, you can break it. And then just get your flush cutters in there and clip off. Remember this, see how there's a straight side and a V side? Make sure that the stuff that's going to jump away from you and disconnect from the piece is in the ditch. And then get as close as you can and clip. So now we have a dingle dangle rugby style, no, it's not rugby style, earring. We're going to take, and I'm just using pre-made earring wires. Twist open the top, or the little opening, and attach. This is where the wrapped loop is going to come into play from the top, and twist it open. Gonna just string it on there. Twist this one back into place. Twist back into place. Sometimes that little ball from the pre-made earring wire, that little silver ball, jumps down and tries to thwart your efforts. But twist this back into place. And now, I like to squish this piece of the earring wire. I just think it hangs on the ear better. Check to make sure when you twist it around that it's a straight top to bottom, because sometimes the wire can get bent in the process and you can get a funky hanging, but this is good. And here is the final product. And if you are interested in these, please check out my Etsy page at Melissa the Eccentric. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll be having a lot more jewelry tutorials coming up. Thanks for watching.